and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about amps or amp sims, real amps or amp simulators in your DAWs. So this kind of popped in my head just to talk about it. This is just a discussion to talk about what do you prefer when you're recording or even playing these days. With all the technology that is out there and everything that is going on in the world, and as fast as things are growing, there's so many different ways for you to actually play live or record in the studio that there's a lot to choose from. And back when I was growing up, there wasn't a whole lot to choose from. I mean, when I first started recording, we had a little 4-track recorder that had a little cassette tape in it, and that's how we recorded. And then we popped the little cassette tape out, and then we put it into we used to call them beatboxes or jukeboxes, and it had 2 cassette recorders, and one you could play and one you could record, and then we would record one to the other, and that's how we made our demos. But you don't do that now. I mean, with all the technology out there now, you can literally put it on a little SIM card. So it's pretty crazy out there. But I'm just curious to what people prefer and how they prefer. What's your workflow? What's your live flow? What do you like to do? How do you like to do it? If you've been following my channel, you obviously know that I like to use real amps and I like to use a multi-track recorder. That's how I like to do it. But I know the younger generation really likes the more computerized stuff. They like the amp sims. They like all the downloads that you can get, all the different plugins that you can buy for your DAWs and stuff. And basically you can have a complete studio just on your laptop, which is really cool. The technology is really cool, and it definitely has its place in this industry for those of you that really like to use it, and that's how your workflow works. For me, I tried a DAW and it just didn't work for me. It's not that it doesn't work and it's not usable. The flow didn't work for me. I really like having amps. If you guys can't tell by my room around here, I love having real amps, and I love playing through real amps, and I love using my 16-track recorder because it's very simple to me. It's very plug and play, plug into there and play, and then record my stuff and put it out. And if you guys didn't know, Jimi Hendrix used to use a little 4-track reel-to-reel recorder back in the day, which is even different from having a cassette. They had these little reels on it, and then you record it, and then you would take that and you'd push it over to something else. It was really crazy, and it had like little mini cassette things in it. Really hard to explain. That stuff is so old, but they had these little reel-to-reels back then. But he used to use a little 4-track recorder, and that's how he recorded all his stuff back in the day. But things have evolved, and evolved like crazy. Now, I'm a pretty old school guy, so I like to use my simple stuff that's been working for me for many years. I do have some newer technology stuff when it comes to my pedals and things like that. But when it comes to recording, I've been using track recorders ever since I've been playing music. I'm very comfortable with the track recorders, and I really enjoy recording that way. And I love being able to push the faders up and down by hand. I just like all that hands-on stuff, so I really enjoy that. But what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer to use real amps, or do you prefer to use the amp sims that you can get, that you can buy plugins for and put into your DAW? I'd really love to know what you think. Do you think that the amp sims are better now than the actual guitar amps, or do you still think the guitar amps are better? Those are the things that I'm just curious about. You know, for me, it's never going to get better than plugging into a real amplifier and playing. It's just always that live sound, that air pushing out of that cabinet where you can really feel it is always going to be something that I want. And maybe that's an old school thing, because nowadays a lot of people don't even take amps, and when they gig, like I have a Boss GT1000 right down there, and I literally can just take that and plug into a PA system and go do a gig. And I've actually done that. I've actually used that and just plugged in a PA system, and it works great. But there's definitely a different feeling, because I don't feel like, if there's no speakers behind me, I don't feel it out here anymore. It's like quiet back here and everything is out there. And it's kind of weird, especially when you have a drummer, because the drummer's really pushing. You can't digitize the drummer. I mean, you can. I mean, you could have a computerized drummer, but if you have a real drummer, then you can hear that. And when your sound is out here, but the drummer sound is back here, it's kind of weird, unless you're using in-ears. But for me, I've done things both ways, and I still prefer to, and I still, even when I play live, I still prefer to have at least one amp cabinet on stage that I can hear and feel on stage. But we're all different, and with the younger generation, I mean, was born in the 70s, so I was actually born in 1970, so that really dates my age. So I grew up through a lot of great eras of music and watched a lot of this change over the years. And it's been really cool to watch. I think it's awesome that we have so much out there for musicians to do now that you can literally get into music in so many different ways, and it's so much easier for you to get in there, and there's so much out there for you to learn. I mean, back in the day when I was a kid, you had to just listen to the song, you listen on the radio, and you hit the notes and try to figure out what that song was. You would just try to play along with it, and then MTV came along, and you were able to see the actual artist playing the song. So you would watch those videos, and you would listen to the song, and you'd sit there all day long in front of that TV trying to figure out your favorite songs and learn how to play them. And then they started putting out tablature, which was really great because I use Tab. I still use Tab today. I love the Tab books. I love getting the books because I don't like looking at the computer screen. I like having the book in my hand. I like being able to look at it. I like being able to see it, so I can actually go back and forth through it instead of having to scroll through a screen. That's me. Even when it comes to reading books, I like the real hands-on paperback or solid books. I don't like books online. But that's just me. The younger generation, you guys have grown up with all this technology. You know, I mean, back when I was growing up, we had a dial phone. It was a rotary phone and stuff. That's what we had. We had a TV that had 3 channels on it. It was just black and white, and we had you had ABC, NBC, and you had ABC, NBC, and CBS were the only 3 channels that you could watch, and they had ads all through it. They only had news in the morning and news in the evening, and then the TV went off at midnight. And it was just snow after midnight. So you guys have 24/7 everything now, and you're really connected to this technology, which I think is cool. It's really come a long way, but I think that there's still a lot to be said for real amps and real equipment and not using so much digital. And I personally think you should try both. I think you should definitely try doing both and see what flow, and maybe a mixture of both is the way it works for you guys. For me personally, it's always going to be real amps and a multi-track recorder and real guitars and real pedals. That's what I'm always going to use. I mean, I do love my Boss GT1000. It's nice to have all those effects in one thing. So that's kind of my newer age thing and stuff instead of the individual pedals. But I have a whole individual pedal board over here. I use an individual pedal board in my house that has all the different pedals on it because I still love stomp boxes. I love them, and they've never let me down. And I've actually tried some other digital processors, effects processors, as far as foot pedals and stuff that have failed me. You know, I will say that Boss is always my Boss stuff that I've ever gotten. And I have a Boss ME70 over there that I've used for years that is still going strong, and I'll keep that thing forever because that thing is great. I also have an original Line 6 pod, the small one, from when they first came out, and that thing's still awesome. That's still a great little thing, and that was awesome. I love the Line 6 pod and Line 6 pod plus. That was a great platform. Still a great platform. You can find some old ones. Some of the sounds on there are super cool, and I love some of that nostalgia stuff as well. But just curious what you guys' thoughts were. I thought I'd do an opening riff playing on my guitar with my orange amp. I was actually playing this. This is my Lizzie Hale Signature Series Epiphone Explorer. I love this guitar. I was running through the Boss GT1000, and I was running through my Orange Crush Pro 120, which if you guys follow this channel, that's pretty much what I'm always playing when I'm demoing stuff and everything. That's kind of my go-to amplifier. I do need to maybe sometimes do some other ones, but that's kind of my main one I'm always playing out of. I love that. I love orange. It took me a long time to get my orange gear, and I just love it. But I do understand that the younger generation, you guys have gone compact. You've cut everything down. You have all this really cool technology now that you guys can use. You can really streamline your gear when you're playing live shows, which I will say, I do love the fact that with the new technology, you can really streamline your gear. Because I will say that I do like the fact that if I want to go play a gig and I don't feel like carrying a bunch of stuff, I can just grab my Boss GT1000, plug into a PA, and I am golden. And that's really nice sometimes. So I'm going to say that is really cool. But I still always like to have an amp and cab on stage, you know, even if it's only a 112 cab that I can mic up or something or anything like that, because I've got a really nice red stripe. I've got 2 really nice red stripe PVs over here. I've got the 100 watt and the 60 watt. I got the Studio Pro and the Bandit over here in the corner, and I love those. They're trans tube amps, and they're awesome. And I will tell you right now, if you can ever get a hold of one of those, man, definitely pick one of those up because they're awesome. And that 100 watt 112 will hold anything. I mean, you can go play anywhere with that. You can play with a 212 thing, handle. You can run with a half stack. It's crazy loud. It's ridiculous. I've used that for tons of shows, and it's awesome. And you can also hook up an external cab if you want to turn it into a 212, which I do have an external cab over there, so if I want to make it a stack. But anyway, just wanted to touch a little base on it, see what you guys think. You know, do you guys prefer real amps or do you prefer using amp sims in your DAW? I would love to hear your comments down below. It's just a short little video, and I was just a question I want to put out there. What do you guys think is your favorite way to do it, or what do you think is better? I mean, me, like I said, it's always going to be real amps. Always real amps, real guitars, real pedals. That's my thing. But I do think that the new DAWs and all the new amp sims and all the new plugins that you guys can get, that you can do, for a guy that can't afford all this gear and you want to be able to have all those sounds in one place, it's definitely a really neat invention that we've come to, with all this technology that allows you to have all that just in your computer. I think it's really thing. And I think both platforms have their place in the music industry. The only thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see real amps and stuff become a thing of the past. And I don't think they will be, because there's plenty of people that love having a real amplifier. But I hope that we keep that tradition alive of using real amps and real pedals, because I think that's just, the classic way to do stuff. And I just think it's awesome. And it's me. And I'm old school, And, you young guys that are coming up with all this technology, you guys have got it way better than us old guys had back in the day, which I think is awesome. It really allows you guys to progress faster. You get to test out a lot more stuff, and I think it's super cool. And I love it a lot. Music industry is getting crazy, and it's moving faster than we can keep up with it. But I just love to hear your opinions. What do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer real amps or amp sims? And which way do you prefer to do it? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Like I said, and I'll say it again, me, it's all about the real amp. So appreciate you guys watching. I can't wait to read your questions and comments, see what you guys think, and we will see you guys on the next video.